So I was planning to have a gaming session right after I'd meditated. I remember this was somewhere in 2022, just after I'd started meditation. And right afterwards, I could just feel like all of those benefits that I'd got from the meditation session had just been reversed. I could just feel so much more mentally weaker and mentally fatigued. The emotional control and emotional intelligence that I'd gained from that meditation had just completely gone. I was just made mentally weak again. And that had sparked the interest in me into discovering what actually ruins mindfulness and makes your mindfulness weaker. The first one that I've already described is, of course, video games. I've definitely seen a decrease in my mental strength and mental ability every time I've played. I've just been able to be more mindful of its negative effects that it has on me and its ability to sap my mental health. And there has been research made out there that video games do this. They do reduce your emotional control and things as such. And I think it's just because it's way too emulating as a substance. You're just getting this easy dopamine without much effort. You're getting this big reward without much effort, like any drug or substance. Especially if you're someone who knows that video games are bad for you and you feel guilt and shame playing them and you feel just this regret playing them. You'll definitely feel worse after playing them and your meditation will definitely be ruined anyhow after playing them. The second most obvious one is social media. Scrolling, yes, but just any social media, even just seeing something that triggers you and maybe even just makes you upset, is good at ruining your mindfulness. Scrolling and meditation are complete opposites. Meditation is where you starve your brain for longer periods of time with absolutely no stimulation other than your own thoughts and sensations. But scrolling is quite fast paced for a long period of time. You're intaking new pieces of information like every few seconds, which is training your attention span to be worse. I remember in December of 2024, I even had this with scrolling through my YouTube history when I was bored. Even with scrolling through videos that I'd already watched, my attention span and patience just got a whole lot worse. And again, not even with scrolling, even just viewing any overstimulating type of media is good at ruining your mindfulness because it's just like video games. It's just easy dopamine without effort. It's not a reward, it's just a drug. Third one you probably Third one you probably wouldn't think of is junk food. I definitely had this the last time I'd eaten KFC. I was just so lethargic afterwards. I couldn't even be mindful of the urges that I'd had after that because I was just so sluggish. I couldn't even use my willpower. So I ended up giving into those urges off afterwards. You're quite literally just hurting your gut microbiome, the connection from your gut to your brain. So you're hurting your gut, which hurts your brain in return. The fourth one I've written down is music, because I just sort of feel this brain fry if I listen to too much music, like in the car on a long road trip, or even when I've listened to music myself. I just feel so mentally fatigued and tired of it. I always think music used to be the safe form of joy, but it can actually be a harmful source of dopamine because one song won't hurt, one or two songs, a few songs won't hurt, but I've had like binging sessions where I just listen, and that had gotten worse as I began to value my own mental health and began to learn how certain things are bad for me instead of just overindulging. Notifications are good at taking away your mindfulness and your presence because you're literally just forced to fixate on your phone. Instead of choosing to fixate on your phone, you get this ring and this screen light up and this pop up on your phone, which again just takes you away from the present. When you have those notifications on, you're literally just asking to not be present. You're literally just asking for something else to take away your presence and your or ability to be here in the now. I don't believe that anyone ever really wants to hang around that person who's just always responding to notifications, who just has their phone on full volume. I don't ever think that that's someone worth hanging around, especially in public. The last point I've written down is sleep because I've definitely found that I'm much more in this haze of thought when I've had a bad sleep as compared to when I'm more on my guard when I've had a good night of sleep. I feel like this is just common sense because everything in your life does seem to get worse when you have a bad night of sleep, with exceptions to some things. But especially with things such as mental health and mindfulness and meditation. Even like my ability to compute ideas in my mind and think of ideas and come up with solutions is much more slower